everybody, it is Tash B and welcome to another episode of Tash B TV. Today I'm in a very different space. I'm in a very zen space and I am here talking to Maurice Harvey-Hall from Skilful Thinking, and he is going to take us on a journey, and there's a very good chance that Maurice and I talking about his business will go on a type of journey, and I'm really excited to take you with us. So Maurice, welcome.
Thanks, Tash. I've been looking forward to this.
Thank you. I've been looking forward to this too. So now your background is in nursing and you have a master's in mental health. You work in the space of, in the mental health space as a mental health nurse.
Yep.
You also lecture in that space. But outside of that, you have created your own business around mindfulness, mindset,
aligning with self.
Yep.
Really, yeah. So it's interesting. I work in quite a few areas. I've actually just picked up some work in the prison.
Wow! Oh, that sounds fascinating.
So getting the opportunity to go into the prison and work with people who are being released and planting the seeds in relation to change.
Fabulous.
Okay, so it's really a cohort of people that haven't necessarily had that opportunity to work with practitioners in that space. Usually it's from a counselling or a psychological perspective around looking at trauma and things like that. Whereas this is about moving forward and looking at the mind and becoming aware of what the mind is and how it limits us, but also how it can propel us forward in changing our lives. So in the prison space, teaching out at the uni as a lecturer for mental health nursing out there. I work as a mental health nurse, and then I've got Skilful Thinking, which is the mindset coaching business.
And that's the bit that we're really wanting to explore here, because it really sounds as though your education and your career path has actually led you to this space of starting your business of mindful thinking.
Yes.
Not mindful thinking, skillful
thinking.
Even.
Being mindful, right?
Being mindful around skillful thinking.
Yeah. And see, really, skillful thinking, it actually came from a Buddhist text. And they were talking about skillful thinking versus unskillful thinking.
Right, yes.
Okay. So if we want to, we have this beautiful capacity of the mind. If we're going to go through life and every part and aspect of life, then why not think in a skillful way rather than being unskillful with our thinking?
Yes.
So that was the idea then. And I've always followed coming from an Eastern background, being born in the Philippines and being Chinese Filipino, but having my dad as the Aussie.
Yes.
There was this Eastern and Western combination going on. So from the perspective of skillful thinking, I work from a Buddhist psychology perspective, a Western psychotherapy perspective, and then I use neuroscience to bring the two together. So this was something that's always been a passion of mine, in understanding the mind so I could then connect to that spiritual part of me. And as I used that journey to unfold within myself, I then started to notice that I accumulated lots of wisdom and knowledge from many sources, and they just fitted quite nicely together.
Yes.
And then I thought, wow, many people are saying these things but in different areas. Imagine if we could just pull that together to create a paradigm of thinking. And that's where I thought, well, this has worked for me. I can speak from experience and authority. I wonder if I could put it together in a program or a conversation that other people could then maybe latch hold of and maybe run with and then incorporate and integrate into their own lives. And that's where really the passion then started to go. I need to step out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
And you and I have spoken about your area of genius versus your area of expertise, which comes from Gay Hendricks and The Big Leap, I think was the book. So a great book to read.
Life changer. Life-changing book, yes.
Talks about upper limits, talks about scripts that we run, and looking at your area of your genius. And this was my area of genius to step out into this space. Now, in saying that, it doesn't mean that it was rainbows and unicorns and fluffy clouds and happy joy. There was a lot of fear that I had to address and come closer to and see what that actually was, and then step into this space too.
So So from what you're saying, developing into a business model, your passions and your learnings really wasn't as what's the word I'm trying to look at here? That it was more of a natural progression for you. It wasn't something that you were seeking to do. It wasn't something that you went out with a purpose of, I'm going to start a business. It sounds as though it's something that's just evolved.
Yeah, it's like that try before you buy
Yeah.
type
Yes.
of thing.
Yeah.
You know, because I think we a lot of people might intuitively feel as though they've got something to offer.
Yeah.
But they might feel as though they're in the constraints of maybe a 9-to-5 job, which offers
Yes.
safety.
Yes.
Okay, and I think we've
had
both in that.
conversation. Yes.
Yeah. And then think, hey, I wouldn't mind dabbling and doing some stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, some people might go to the markets and sell products. Some people might
Yeah.
just step out and offer some things on the weekend or maybe after work. So that's what I started to do. And then I started to find that what I was offering actually had value and people
Yes.
were willing to consume that content.
Yeah.
And then I started to trust within myself to then maybe I could push this a bit further.
Yes.
And then in pushing it further and further and further and listening intuitively
Yeah.
to what was really driving me, I then continued to move on and move through. And then that's where, you know, now I'm moving out of the 9-to-5 jobs
Yeah.
and moving more into the skillful thinking. So, you know, in 6 months' time, I'll be out of all of my other roles,
Yes.
and I'll be doing this full time. You know, and that's exciting. It's
Yeah,
scary.
that's very exciting.
It's very, very exciting because it allows me to create whatever I want
Yes.
and be in the space that I believe that I could have a great impact.
Yeah.
in. You know, and I'm constantly putting out rockets of desire and
Yes.
you know, creatively imagining where it is and what space that I would like to be working in.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important for entrepreneurs, for business people to be creatively, consciously creating and moving forward and stepping ahead of the game and moving, you know,
Yeah.
and looking where you want to be.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's the idea, is that, you've always got to be looking forward so that you can keep
Very much
working
so.
towards that.
Yeah.
So taking us back to when you first, as you put it, started doing a market, so to speak. Not that was but just starting to test the water. So talk to us around that for the first time. How long ago was that?
I think probably about 3 years ago I started to dabble.
Yes.
And that was just, I think I just initially started off with a bit of a Facebook page.
Yeah.
Because I just wanted to, I thought it doesn't cost me anything.
Yes.
I can do some videos, I can share some concepts.
Yeah.
I might run a couple of workshops around some of the stuff that I'd been doing while I was working as a nurse, and which I did. And then I started to step out and do some one-on-one, I guess, psychotherapy counselling type of sessions.
So it was really starting saying, hey, I've got a message to share. It's now reached a point that this message is too big to stay inside of me now. I'm wanting to share that. How am I going to do that? How am I now going to, I'm wanting to share it. So Facebook, social media, great platform where people can choose to tune in or choose to not. And so that was it really for you, that it was like, I just want to share, give me a platform to start sharing, and people clearly interested, because you have not only do you have a huge, quite a substantial following, it's quite an interactive and very active community of people that you've got that follow you. So that was it. So you started putting things out there, people were engaging, and you went, maybe I might just do a paid program, or...
Yeah, so that then, I think it's important for people who are developing their art to see people who've already developed their art.
Yes, very true.
And then go to their seminars, go to their workshops, learn about how they got there.
Yeah.
And then if one person can do it, then you can then replicate it.
Of course, yeah.
But as you replicate it, you may not be replicating them, but what you're replicating is the process. And so I linked in with quite a few. You know, Kerwin Ray was somebody. I went down to a 3-day workshop with him, which was great. It was you know, enlightening and opening up. Not everyone's cup of tea, but still for me that was what I needed. The Wellness Leaders Academy was another group of people that sat in my space and they could speak to me.
Yes.
You know, so I think there's particular mentors that will be able to speak to you in your category there. Yeah. And so as I invested in myself, in going to these places, then I started to learn. Now, as much as we can go, I've dropped X amount of dollars into this. Yeah. Then there comes a point, well, do I believe in myself enough that I can actually do this? Yes. Because we can just, you know, we can do all of these online courses and go to seminars and workshops and things like that, but not actually do anything about it. Yes. And I think that's where the courage and the fortitude is required to then step through the door of, you know, of the fear. Yes. You know, or what if? And the thing is, what if? Imagine what if. You know,
exactly. Imagine what if. You know, what is the worst thing that's going to happen?
Yeah. Honestly. So you know, the question I put out to everybody who's watching this is that if fear wasn't in the way of any decision that you made, what would you want to do? What could you do? Yes. Because fear, you know, you get that fear and you take it out of the way, and you go, wow. And you know, the beautiful thing is that you actually start to recognise how limiting your beliefs have been up until now. To then you take away fear. It's a groundbreaking question to ask. Too, so.
Look, I agree with you because that was a similar journey that I went on too. Was that about the fear for me was crippling in the beginning, and it took me quite some time to move onto that space of what's going to happen to me. And it's like, and then you sort of, I don't know about you, but I know in my experience, it just was kind of like I reached this point. I went, do you know what? I don't think there's anybody paying that much attention to me at that point in time, and it's not until I move away from the fear and start really authentically showing up, and that's when people start noticing you. But when you're flailing about and you're so worried about, oh my gosh, what am I doing, and all that, I don't think people are really. Because I remember people aren't watching you to see you fail.
Well, that's right, and I remember watching the first video that you put out.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
I'm going to do it. Yes.
You know, but people could then see. They could see the fear, but then they could also see the passion and the exuberance as well too. So, yes. Yeah. And that's. I think that's another important thing too, is to show up and engage, but show up as you. Yeah. I'm not trying to be Kerwin Ray. I'm not trying to be somebody else. I'm not trying to be Tony Robbins. Or
they're all taken.
Yeah, that's right. Can't get the .com sale. But you know, I know. Well, I'm learning to know myself by the more time that I spend with myself, and the greater then I then show up.
Yeah, I think too, you touched on another really key point too, was around investing in yourself in learning. Yeah. And I agree with you wholeheartedly there, is that you need to be a student. Never stop being a student, because you need to constantly learn different things. You're learning every day, and I myself too have attended many events and been part of lots of programs, and it's always about what I take away from that, but then I add the me element to the things that I've learned, which then, you know, helps, again, it just helps to build the picture and
and you're constantly learning, and the thing is that we're learning about ourselves, and probably the biggest thing is, what is the relationship that I have with myself? Because whatever that is, it's going to reflect into your intimate relationships, your social relationships, your work relationships, the people that you're working with, the world, you know. And I think that's the key, is a lot of us get caught up in others, pleasing others, decreasing discomfort in others, you know, just towing the line with others, loyalty to herd, whereas we forget ourselves. I think that's probably the biggest key, and a lot of the people who come and work with me, it's about tapping them into who they are and the relationship they have with themselves, and how pivotal pivotally important that is within every interaction that you have within your life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
And then we talk about self-worth and deserving, all that sort of stuff, which then is another...
Oh my goodness me.
Conversation.
There we go. Let's just open the box there. There's so many things in that space. And so working for you is there's a lot of things that you're involved in now in this space of mindfulness, creating your own reality, getting to know yourself better and appreciating who you are. So you've got a couple of programs that you're doing. So you work one-on-one with clients.
Yeah, so we have a 3-month program, so that's a coaching program. And this is very different to mainstream sort of stuff. Mainstream stuff, you go and see the counsellor or you see the psychologist because you think you're broken, okay? And you might catch up with them every once a week, once a fortnight. The way that we work is that we use this combination between Eastern and Western in neuroscience, and
I love that. I've interrupted your train of thought there, but I've got to say that it's one of the things that I found most appealing when I found you the first time, or when I walked away from the short program that I did, was that it was the East and Western and the neuroscience that for me, I still needed to be grounded while I explored my boundaries. Sorry for interrupting your chain of thought.
Because really, when we look at the Eastern and the Western, the Eastern is really this contemplative inner work. The Western is this, in a sense, behavioural outer work. And then the neuroscience is that, well, if I do this inner work, how does that then actually reflect in the outer work through what's happening within my brain chemistry and my biofeedbacks? And we are one. We're mind, body, and soul. So why wouldn't we look at a paradigm from inner, outer, and how that actually connects together? And then we can even step into some quantum work as well too, which is then which is another shift, totally, which is further inner work. So there's so much there you can become aware of, and really the program is around this awareness. And the idea is that people catch up with me on a fortnightly basis, but they check in every day because. Life happens outside of session.
Oh, of course it does,
Once you walk out of these doors, you probably forget half of the stuff you've spoken about, and then all of a sudden life is actually experiencing you, or life is living you. These people get the option and the opportunity to then check in with them every day and go, Maurice, this is what life has delivered to me today.
Yes.
I
love that way of looking at it. This is what life has delivered to me today.
And even further, and so we use a mantra and we go, I wonder what life will place upon my path today that will bring me to a great awareness of self and others.
Wow.
Now, even just looking at that is, I wonder what life... I now have enthusiasm and wonder and interest in the unknown. Whereas the mind actually fears the unknown.
Yes.
So
of course it does, because it's got to keep you safe.
Because it's got to keep you safe. So I'm actually looking forward to what's coming to me. Now, through the program, we learn that we let go of positive and negative and judgment, and we look at things that happen in the now through the mindfulness capacity and the skill there. But we then start to see each and everything that comes our way as having value. Now, imagine if you could look at life as anything that comes my way actually has value. There's potential for learning, potential for growth. There's potential for significance. Where there's significance, there's meaning, and then there's purpose. So each and every day, whatever comes your way, you can learn about it, it can be significant, there's meaning, and then there's purpose. I've had a purposeful day. And really, when you look at life, all life is a series of days.
Yes.
Okay? That's all life is, series of days. And if you're lucky enough to live to the ripe old age of 82, that's 30,000 days that you have on this planet.
It's a gift each day.
It is a gift. And we take it for granted that we're going to get there, but we don't know. Okay. So why not break those days down and then start to place some significance and attention into what's actually happening there?
I really like what you say there too about the purpose of what life has delivered to me today. And what I really like about that is because that's taking the negative parts of what's happened to me today along with the positive parts and saying, hey, that negative stuff, what was that about today? What am I learning from that today? What am I moving with me to take forward? And I think that's so important to recognise that it's not just a negative. There's something showing up there, and I think that and so many people that I speak to is that's the turning point, is when you turn around and say, yeah, hey, that's when I had my biggest learning. And you can't learn unless you go through that.
Yeah.
And look at it from
exactly
that angle
Yeah.
of what's the purpose of this?
Yes. And so even asking that question, what's the purpose of this, what is this related to, you're actually moving your stuff to your prefrontal cortex. So there's neurology that's happening within particular questions of self-inquiry.
Yes.
You know, that's why these things work. It's not just because I'm looking at things through rose-coloured glasses. It's more about, you know, discomfort appears in a lot of significance. You only get triggered because something matters to you.
Yes.
We get caught up in the trigger rather than looking at what actually matters to us. You know, and there's this concept that thoughts and emotions are indicators of something of a deeper nature. So they're indicators, they're letting you know. And here's a beautiful analogy, is that as you're driving your car and your indicator light comes on for fuel, you know that you need to fill it up. So then you pull over and you get the petrol bowser, all right, and you go and fill up your fuel tank. You don't get it and then put it on the indicator light, do you?
Yeah, yes. Yeah. I love that analogy.
That would be
yes.
stupid.
Yeah.
And it would be costly. And it is stupid and it is costly, because that's what we do, because our reactive mind goes, there's a thought, there's an emotion that's triggered me, I need to react to that.
Yeah.
Rather than going, hang on, I've been triggered because over here actually represents something of meaning and purpose.
Yes.
This is the petrol tank.
Yes.
Let's place attention on the petrol tank. Now, as I place attention on the petrol tank, I start to decrease the energy, the electrical impulses in that part of the brain that causes me further discomfort. And now I'm actually starting to move from my prefrontal cortex. So all I'm doing is noticing different things, and I've shifted my brain chemistry already.
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody goes through the days experiencing discomfort.
Yes.
Imagine if you could learn from your discomfort. Imagine how much you could learn throughout your day.
Oh, exactly. Yes.
And then all of a sudden, by the end of the week, you've learned so much about yourself.
Yeah.
And it might be your business. It might be the interactions that you're having with your staff.
Yes.
What's happening with your marketing?
Yep.
You know, is my business growing? What are my thoughts around this? There's all of these things that you could be learning from, rather than getting further stressed and reacting to them.
And it, you know, even then extending on to your partners and the people
Very
in
much
your
so.
own life.
Yeah.
Now, I really want to touch on with you, because you've got this amazing program that you've just recently started, the Ripple Effect, and I love the whole concept behind this, what it's about, why you're doing it, and what's happening. So can you're best to share it than me sharing, because you know it better, so much better than what I do.
So the idea here is, and once again, this is an evolving thing as well. So we start off with an idea, something that has significance to us, and then rather than just sitting on it and doing nothing about it, let's actually put something out there.
Yeah.
You know, so the idea of the ripple effect is that we have there's so much language and there's so much movement around empowering women, and we have empowering women circles, workshops, you know, business things and everything like that, which I think is wonderful, absolutely wonderful. But what I believe ultimately happens is that the new language that this empowering women movement is generating and moving to, that is worlds apart from the language that men are available, or that have the availability to.
Yep.
So as much as there's this process of empowering women, which is wonderful, we're actually creating a divide. So the idea was to create a group or a space that empowers men to have conversations around their well-being.
Yes.
And it's not a mental health thing or anything like that. I didn't want to sell it as a mental health thing. It's about well-being. Well, what is well-being? And so we then started to look at 10 domains of health.
Yes.
Nutrition, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships, social, creativity. So there was these buckets in a sense. And what we wanted to do is create these conversations and videotape conversations with other men around what these domains of health and fitness would actually represent, because that is overall well-being. And this is something that men don't do very well. No. You know, we don't go to the doctors, we don't, apparently not, okay?
No,
but even for me...
I can testify to that. My husband, Glenn, if you're watching this...
Of course he would be.
Yeah. But no, exactly, you're right.
Yeah.
And I think a really great example of that was Jim Steins with his brain cancer.
Yeah.
He says how many times his wife kept telling him, you need to go to the doctor and get that checked out. You need to go to the doctor and get that checked out. And I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. And now, he's passed on and he's left 2 small kids and,
Yeah, because apparently we've got other stuff to do.
Yes, you do.
But then again, life also gets in the way as well too.
Yes.
But I think men don't necessarily place a great importance. I think they do place great importance on their health and their well-being. However, they may not necessarily see that role modelled in other men.
Mm-hmm.
So then that would be contrary to the herd, and we are herd animals.
Yes.
So this movement was about creating a group of conversations in relation to men who actually do look at these things, And it's not a men's group, it's not a therapy group or anything like that, but what it is, initially at the moment, it's just something on Facebook where people can go to and they can consume content where there's memes there's videos that we share, and as well as interviews that we've done with other men talking about how they actually rate themselves in particular areas.
So it's just men having open, honest conversations with other men.
With other men.
And that's really it. It's just about, hey, let's have those conversations. Let's hit those points that we know we don't, as men, we don't talk about. You don't talk about, not we.
Yeah. But more so, well, if I was going to have a conversation, what would it look like?
Yeah.
Because if I don't know what a conversation looks like, then how do I actually, what do I do?
Yeah.
So this is the role modelling component of it.
Yes.
So if I see it, then I can potentially do it.
Correct, yes.
Yeah. Rather than, we've got the Are You OK Day, which is a great movement. But if I don't know how to ask, are you okay, and I'm not too sure of what you're going to say back to me, then how do I continue to, interplay within that conversation? So these are videotapes of conversations that are actually happening.
Right, and they're real life, just conversations like what we're having.
Like what we're having, yeah.
Sort of
so we go through the domains,
and
then we just have a bit of a chat.
And because there's a small group of you, is that correct?
Yeah, I think we've got about 17 guys just here in Townsville who are interested in helping with that movement.
Yes.
And that will grow over time. And once again, this is something that
it's
organically grow and evolve. And, you may have an initial idea at the beginning, you get some people together, and then you then start to get further ideas from what the group is suggesting. And this isn't something that I own or anything like that. This is just something that I'm going to be the instigator and the motivator to ignite this. Let's see who wants to be a part of it. And what I've noticed is that the guys who wanted to be a part of it actually look forward to getting together on a monthly basis where we actually talk about the movement and what we're going to do.
Yeah. So and all of that's shared on the Facebook group. Facebook group or Facebook page?
Facebook page.
Facebook page.
The Ripple Effect.
The Ripple Effect.
Yeah.
So that's where people can find it.
Yeah.
So how far into that program are you now?
I think we've been going for maybe 5 months now, 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. So talk to me then, let's bring this back to, because you and I can go down many little rabbit warrens.
Yeah.
So let's bring this back to from a business perspective. So let's talk about getting that started. So again, you have this idea and it's like, okay, because I know that we'd had a conversation around this for quite a few times. I've got this idea, I'm wanting to get that out. So talk to me about how you went from the idea to the actual product.
So I think initially it's good to be aware of where the idea comes from and how that actually happened. And what I noticed was the program that I was doing, I was working with men, and when they were finishing the program, I could see that there wasn't any transitionary space for them to go. They've got all this lovely information, they've been working on themselves, and then they get lost in the community. It's not like, I can go to a men's shed or, because people aren't going to understand the conversations that I've been having, because now it's a new language.
Yes.
So I thought, I've actually got a group of men here that I would like to continue to engage with, because there's value in them. They're seeing value within me and in the relationships and the interactions that we're having. Maybe by doing that, it would help empower them, so then they could help then empower others.
Yeah.
And that's where that ripple effect idea then came from. So then it was about going, okay, what would this look like? And really, what would it look like is many conversations that you're having with people and trying to fine-tune it. So it's quite broad, it's trying to fine-tune it, go down this path. And then it was about going, okay, who would be interested? So now I'm then going out and seeking who's going to align with this. Because I think when you're doing it as a sole person, that's a big mammoth effort.
Yes.
But when you've got others that will align with you and support you and validate you in that space, and who are resonating at the same frequency in a sense, then those days when you have self-doubt and you don't think that you can get up and do it, and you've lost a bit of motivation, they're going to be there to help you pull that through.
Yeah.
Which is really, once again, another part of the ripple effect.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it was just about having these conversations. Let's get these guys together, and then let's lock in particular times.
Yeah.
And what we've done, as we're working through this, is that I then started to realise that, this isn't a money-making thing. This is just something that I saw that there was a need for, what I thought was a need for.
Yes.
And putting it out there and working on it, but it was too big for me.
Right.
Because it was just too much for me to do, because I'm wearing so many hats already.
Yes, you are. Yes.
So it's not about me being a leader and creating followers. It's about me being a leader and creating leaders.
Yes. Yep.
And that's what the ripple effect's about too. So then it's going, right, guys, can you step up? Can you help me with this? Can you take care of that?
Yeah.
And then we then start to delegate.
Wow.
And then now we have meetings in different areas where the guys that have been part of the foundation group will hold it at their space, so then they can then share their lives with us. And then that's where it will, and once again, that's that ripple effect again. And it can grow into something big and huge, and it could be replicated in other areas. But once again, at the moment, I don't know. And I'm okay with that.
Yep.
And I think that's the other key, is that try not to get caught up in pressuring yourself that this needs to succeed in a certain amount of time, because then all you're doing is then inviting pressure to your moments.
Yes.
And when you're pressured, you're stressed.
Yeah.
When you're stressed, you've got cortisol, you're not as smart, you're not going to be able to access new learning, like even the whole cascade from a physiological perspective, stress really isn't that good for you.
Yep.
But if you can see the stress as being a learning experience, then you can actually be grateful for stress, and then you then start to change and shift those paradigms and the biological response that comes from it. So,
So really the key was you recognised a problem, which came from the work that you were already working in.
Yeah.
You did your market research.
Yeah.
So you spoke to the people around, and then you, through that consultation work, was able to say, well, what exactly do I need to develop that is going to satisfy your needs? And I also love the other part of that too, where you're not the leader, it's about empowering people, it's about taking those other people on the journey, which I think it's really important, learning that people come into business and they start their business and holding on to it so tight from that leadership perspective or that ownership perspective, and but really to be successful you do need to let it go, and you do need to have your people there to help you spread your message.
You're forever expanding.
Yeah.
So how can you forever expand if you don't allow yourself to move away from the original position that you first stood in?
Yes.
You expanded into that original position.
Yes.
And then you then expand from that original position, and we're constantly moving, but bringing people with us who can step into those spaces, and then empowering them to then continually to expand as well. While you're doing that, they're also empowering others.
Yes.
That's the idea, isn't it? It's not about I'm going for the money grab and I just need to get everything. It's more about, this is a biofeedback response here. Even if I'm selling a product, I'm buying a product to then sell a product. I'm buying it from somebody, so I can then sell it to somebody. We're conduits.
It's just constant. It's a constant stream.
I want to lead people so they then become leaders, so then they can lead others who can become leaders, and then that's how you then that's how you create shifts within the world.
Yep.
You know, because one day I'm not going to be here. There's a reality of that.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and I've got a family, so I want to be able to create leaders within my family, because one day I won't be here, and they'll have to lead themselves.
Yes.
You know.
Yep.
So it works in all areas of our lives as well too.
Oh, yes, of course it does.
Yeah.
So we've got the ripple effect. We've spoken about skillful thinking.
Yeah.
Have I missed anything? Retreat?
I've got the retreat. We've got a retreat coming up soon, actually.
Yes.
I think that's in August, end of August.
Okay, fabulous.
So that's over at Magnetic Island.
Which one of the most magnificent places on the planet.
That is a beautiful place, and that time of the year will be actually really nice too.
Yes.
And we had one last year, and it's a head-to-heart mindfulness retreat.
Oh, yeah.
So you're just becoming aware of the capacity of this beautiful thing called a mind.
Yes.
Okay, and then becoming aware of the mind, connecting to the heart space, connecting to self, your inner self, and as you connect to this inner self, you then start to shift and change your relationship with others, and also change your relationship with life too. You know?
Absolutely. Well, having attended your retreat, the first one, last year, it was absolutely fabulous.
Yes.
Absolutely, and I must attest, that I went through exactly that process.
Yeah. Well, that was interesting. Yeah.
Which was life-changing, really.
Well, it was stripping away a lot of stuff too, wasn't it?
It was very, very good. So highly recommend getting on board for that.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a small group too, nice intimate space.
Yes.
Food's wonderful.
Oh, yes.
So we've got Rodney coming over to do that
fabulous.
again. So that's great.
Yes.
And Maggie Island, just a beautiful space too.
Yeah.
So, we've got Alison Navarro who works with me on that. She does the numerology and the colour work as well too, which just adds another dimension to it too.
I found that interesting.
Yes.
I think it was quite, one of the things that I went there with a very open mind, and that definitely pushed me to my outer limits, but I got a lot out of it because I was open enough to...
Because you're open,
to give it a go.
And it's about being open and receptive. No use going to a place if you're going to be closed.
Oh gosh, no. No, exactly. And going back to one of the very first things you said, was I've invested in myself, time and money to be there, so why would I not
That's exactly right.
open myself up
to the learning? Well, you might do that if you didn't value yourself. See?
Yes.
It's another self-sabotage that goes.
Yes.
I've gone to this wonderful retreat, they've said it's all great, all of these people are raved about it, I've paid all of this money, but I haven't got anything out of it. It must be the retreat, rather than going, well, maybe I need to look at myself there.
Yeah.
Did I actually invite the non-learning? Did I, do I go in closed?
Be a student.
Be a student, and be open, receptive, and just love it and wonderful.
Yep. And people can work with you on a one-on-one basis too to work through all of this.
Yes.
Some of the things that we've spoken about, because there's so much more than just this. We could almost probably do a 10-part series.
Yeah, we could do that. I'm open to that too.
Quite possibly. So, so wonderful.
Yeah.
So, Maurice, thank you so very much for your time. Before I let you go, one key piece of business advice that you could possibly share with us. Sorry, and I have put you on the hot.
No, look, just dream.
Yeah.
Dream. If you can make it up in your head, you can. And so here's one for you: is that use contrast, use what you don't like that you're seeing in your life to give you an idea of what you do like, and then focus on what you do like, what you do want, and what you do want to invite into your world, into your reality. And use that. Vision boards are always a great thing too, because all we're doing now is we're placing attention onto where we want to go rather than where we've been.
Yep.
Try not to look at yourself as where you are at the moment. Try to look at yourself as where you want to go, and then bring that into this moment.
Yep.
And that's the key. And I think with any type of business, because you want your business to grow, so your business will grow in relation to how you grow. So,
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes, that's been my journey.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Tash.
Thank you so much for your time. Everybody, thank you so much for being part of today's episode of Tash B TV. If you're wanting to follow Maurice, links are below, and you will find him at Skilful Thinking and at The Ripple Effect. Also too, we would love to hear your thoughts, what you enjoyed from today, some of the more thought-provoking things, because there's definitely a lot there. Please share them with us, because we'd really love to hear about it. Anyway, until next time, go forth and be amazing. Thanks, bye.
Bye.